So I'm doing a video to discuss what would happen if Carl Froch fought James Degale. First and foremost, it's one of those videos where I don't necessarily think the fight's going to happen. I think Carl Froch is probably more likely to fight GGG. It wouldn't ultimately surprise me if this fight did go down at some point, maybe in 12 months' time. And I'll tell you why. I won't go off topic too much here, but I think if Carl Froch fights GGG, there's a good chance Carl Froch wins. And I think James Degale will likely fight George Groves in the unification matchup. And I think James Degale will probably beat George Groves for that unification matchup. So what I could see is James Degale, unified world champion, and I think potentially Degale could, achieve that by fighting either George Groves or Andre Ward. Clearly the Andre Ward fight is a very difficult fight, whereas I'd anticipate him beating George Groves. But I could then see there being a lot of pressure to fight Carl Froch. Who's the best in Britain? Degale's got a few belts, Froch maybe doesn't have belts. And I could see Froch having one last fight with James Degale. So even if the fight doesn't happen this time around, I don't think it's impossible it could go down in a year. But I'm admitting that I'm doing this video more for the purpose of my entertainment, hopefully your entertainment in the discussion of the fight, as opposed to the fact that it's in the diary or likely to be in the diary at any time soon. So with regards to the particular matchup, I've changed my opinion on this fight a few times around. Let me put it this way. James Degale is clearly a more accomplished amateur than Carl Froch. James Degale is clearly a more advanced defensive fighter than Carl Froch. James Degale, I think it's fair to say, is clearly a better mover than Carl Froch. I would also suggest, and this is controversial, but I would also suggest that in their current forms, James Degale is probably the bigger power puncher in the ring. People do remember that Carl Froch knocked out George Groves in front of 80,000 people at Wembley. Having said that, Carl Froch is not a guy who's made a career out of one-banging people. He's a guy who typically gets stoppages like in the Jermaine Taylor fight or like in the Lucien Boutte fight. He doesn't necessarily knock you out with one punch. And, the way Degale but the way Degale dropped Brandon Gonzalez, Marco Antonio Paraban, Andre Durrell. I know he had a few fights earlier on in his career where he wasn't necessarily looking like such a power puncher, but since he's got over his injury problems, he's looked like he's got real one-punch knockout power and he can drop opponent. He really changed the course of that Andre Durrell fight with a single shot. And I'm not sure if Durrell's ever been down before, and that was a heavy, heavy knockdown. So my point is, in my eyes, Degale's got the attributes. Degale's got the attributes. He's got the movement. He's got the power advantage. He's certainly got the defensive advantage. He's got a technical amateur pedigree advantage. Now, the way I look at it is, we've seen Carl Froch start fights in two different ways. We've seen him start slowly. Historically he's known as a slow starter, like in the Froch-Durrell fight. And more recently we've seen him, or Froch-Groves, he started very slowly in their first fight. But there's been other occasions where he's come out, he's established the jab early. I don't think it matters. I think James Degale wins the first 3 or 4 rounds no matter what Carl Froch turns up. I think James Degale would be capable of putting on a performance like Andre Durrell did against Froch in their first 3 or 4 rounds. I could see James Degale moving around the ring, throwing a jab, fighting at range, skipping away from Carl Froch, opening the distance, closing the distance, getting in and out, escaping, being elusive. I could see him having the engine sort of stay clear of Froch and do Usain Bolt around Froch for 3 or 4 rounds. But what I think James Degale also has is an exceptional ability to avoid a jab. Andre Durrell has a world-class jab. Andre Durrell's jab is better than Carl Froch's. And James Degale's head movement, his reflexes, his ability to quickly step back and adjust his stance was absolutely world class in that fight on the weekend. For me, Carl Froch is unable to land his jab on James Degale. You know, if Andre Dirrell can't land a jab on Degale, there's no way Froch is going to be able to. So I see this fight, no matter what Froch turns up, and let's be honest, Froch is only going to be getting slower at his age. He's not going to suddenly gain a yard of pace. I see the early rounds going to James Degale. He's got too many advantages. He's got too many tricks. He's too refined for Froch. However, as we know, boxing is not a sport at the elite level that's contested over 4 rounds. And I think, to be fair to Carl Froch, time and time again, he's been in with guys who, let's be honest, should have beaten him, but he's got the job done. Jermaine Taylor should have beaten Carl Froch. Andre Dirrell definitely should have beaten Carl Froch. George Groves, in the first fight, should have beaten Carl Froch. But on all of those occasions, despite the fact Froch looked outgunned, overmatched, he got the job done. And I'm one of these people, I scored Froch Dirrell to Froch. You know, I believe in Carl Froch. And what he did was, through will to win, determination, and to an extent adaptation, he got the job done. And let me tell you, whilst I see James Degale taking an early advantage against Froch, and I could see Degale looking just as dominant against Froch as George Groves did in the first Froch fight, or as Andre Dirrell did in the Froch fight. Whilst none of that would surprise me, James Degale can simply not afford to lower his work rate and to go in and out of range and to drop the pace like he did against Andre Dirrell, because Carl Froch is relentless. Carl Froch won't allow him to operate at that level, because Carl Froch would probably be able to stop someone. And I'm not saying that Carl Froch would necessarily find a punch like he did against George Groves, but if James Degale stopped offensively being active, Carl Froch would be in front of him, a foot away from him, throwing huge flurries of punches. You could see Degale being stopped on his feet like Lucien Boutte if Degale allowed himself to be positioned up against the ropes like he was against Andre Dirrell. Put simply, Degale looked comfortable on the ropes against Dirrell. He looked like he decided to be there. But if he decided to be on the ropes against Carl Froch, I don't think Carl Froch would let him escape as easily as Andre Dirrell. Now, for me, Degale is an elite defensive fighter. The only area he was possibly weak on was the fact he didn't throw multiple combinations. He was a single shot operator against Dirrell, and that allowed Dirrell, a slick counterpuncher, to pick effective shots, eye-catching shots against him. I don't see Carl Froch necessarily picking counterpunches off against James Degale in the same manner. Put simply, it's not Carl Froch's style. The way Carl Froch wins this fight is coming on late. I know Froch fans don't like it when I speak like this, because it makes him look like an oversimplistic brawler without technical ability, and that's not what I'm looking to suggest here. There's a lot more to Carl Froch than just a tough man from the pub. But what I would say is, having grit, having determination, having that sort of never give up attitude is something I actually like about Carl Froch. And I wouldn't necessarily see that as a criticism of a fighter, the fact that I'm highlighting that. But what I'm getting at is, if Degale's work rate does drop, if Degale's offensive output slows like it did in the Dirrell fight, we could see Froch come on strong like he's done time and time again. And I think this is why this is a very, very intriguing fight. I don't necessarily see Degale, I can't see Degale stopping Froch. I'm throwing that out there. I can see Degale landing very effectively against Froch, but I think Froch is a very, very hard man to KO, and I don't think Degale necessarily has enough power to get that job done. So I view this as a fight that's going to have to be fought over 12 rounds. And I think James Degale would need to show more to beat Carl Froch than he did against Andre Durrell. Because I think Froch would be on him. I don't think rounds that were up in the air in the Durrell fight, like round 11, Degale Durrell, would be so up in the air against Froch. I think Froch would be coming on decisively in those rounds. So for me, it's a very, very intriguing fight. It's another one of those occasions where Degale should win, but due to Degale's frailties and Froch's strengths, Cole probably gets the job done as always, like he normally does. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I'm interested to discuss, but just in summary, I don't think Froch can land a jab on Degale. I think Degale can land a jab on Froch. I think early Degale can comprehensively outmove Froch. I think Degale could go 3 or 4 rounds without taking any punishment from Froch, frustrating Froch, moving around Froch. I think Degale takes a strong early lead. But for me, the question is, can he keep that momentum up throughout the course of the fight? Or does he fade? And I think if he fades, Carl Froch can stop him late, like he did against Jermaine Taylor, like he did against George Groves. If Degale can fight 3 minutes of 12 rounds, I think he's got enough to outpoint Froch. Let me know your thoughts. As always, keen to discuss.